You're standing in the grocery store holding the same bag of rice you've bought for 3 years, and the price is wrong. Not wrong like a mistake. Wrong like a violation. This was $4. Then it was $5. Now it's $7.29, and you're doing math in your head trying to figure out if you're crazy or if the world is. You're not crazy. Your grocery bill is up, your rent is up, your insurance is up, your gas is up, everything is up except the one thing that was supposed to go up with it, and that's the number on your paycheck. There's a name for what's happening to you, and it's not just inflation. Inflation is the headline. The thing economists argue about on television. What's happening to you is more specific, more targeted, more designed. It's called the inflation lag, and it's the reason you feel poorer every month, even when the economy is supposedly doing fine. This is financial triage, and I'm about to show you the timing trick that's been stealing from your pocket. Before you even open your wallet, prices and wages both rise during inflation, but they don't rise at the same time. That gap between when prices jump and when your paycheck catches up, that's the lag. And during that lag, you're funding someone else's profits with your shrinking purchasing power. Let me show you exactly how this works. Gas prices spike in March. You feel it immediately. Every fill-up costs more. You have no choice. You need to get to work. You pay. Grocery prices rise in April. You feel it the next shopping trip. Every cart costs more. You have no choice. You need to eat. You pay. Rent increases hit in May when your lease renews. You feel it immediately. The new number is just what it costs now. You have no choice. You need somewhere to live? You pay. Your annual review happens in December. 9 months after prices started climbing, your boss says they're giving you a 3% raise. Sounds reasonable until you do the math. Between March and December, you paid inflated prices for 10 months on a salary that didn't budge. That 3% raise doesn't make you whole. It doesn't reimburse you for the 10 months of overpaying. It just slows the bleeding going forward. And here's the brutal part. By the time your raise kicks in, prices have often climbed again. You're not catching up. You're chasing, always chasing, never arriving. Bureau of Labor. Statistics data tells the story clearly. From January 2022 to January 2023, inflation ran at 6.4%. Average wage growth during that same period was 4.4%. That 2% gap doesn't sound like much until you multiply it across every dollar you spent for 12 months. On a $50,000 salary, that's $1,000 in purchasing power you lost, gone, not to bills, not to savings, not to anything you chose, just gone, absorbed by the lag. Now multiply that across 50 million workers, and you start to see the scale. The lag transferred roughly $50 billion from workers to the companies that raised prices first. $50 billion in 1 year, not through taxation, not through theft, through timing. The people who set prices captured your money before the people who set wages gave it back, and nobody calls it what it is because it's invisible, because it feels like just how things work, because you blame yourself for not budgeting better instead of blaming the calendar for being rigged. So who wins during the lag? Corporations with pricing power win. They raise prices immediately when their costs increase. Sometimes before their costs increase, they capture the inflation on the way up. Asset owners win, their real estate appreciates, their stocks climb, their holdings rise in nominal value while your cash sits there shrinking. Debtors win, strange but true. If you owe fixed debt and inflation rises, you're paying back with cheaper dollars. Your mortgage from 2020 gets easier to pay every year. Inflation runs. This is why wealthy people stay in debt on purpose. They understand that inflation is a wealth transfer from creditors to debtors, from savers to owners, from workers to capitalists. You know who loses: people whose income comes from wages, people whose wealth sits in cash, people who don't own assets, people who can't raise their own prices. You, probably. The lag is a timing mechanism that sorts the economy into winners and losers, and the sorting happens so smoothly that most people never realize they've been sorted. Here's what makes it even worse. Your raises aren't indexed to inflation. They're indexed to what your employer decides you're worth, what the market will bear, what they can get away with paying, and what they can get away with is always less than inflation when inflation is high. During the 2022 spike, companies posted record profits, while telling workers they couldn't afford bigger raises because times were tough. The math doesn't math unless you understand the lag. They captured price increases immediately and delayed wage increases indefinitely. The gap was profit, your profit transferred to their shareholders. This isn't conspiracy, this is accounting. Prices are variable and responsive. Wages are sticky and slow. Every economist knows this. It's in every textbook. But nobody explains what it means for your Tuesday night at the grocery store trying to figure out why the chicken costs twice what it did. So what do you actually do about a mechanism that's baked into how the entire economy works? You can't change the lag, but you can stop being the one who funds it. First move is stop holding excess cash. Every dollar sitting in a checking account earning 0% is a dollar being eaten by inflation every single month. The average checking account pays 0.01% interest. Inflation running at 3% means your money loses 3% of its purchasing power annually. $1,000 becomes $970 in real value in 1 year, just sitting there. This doesn't mean invest your rent money in stocks. It means move everything beyond your immediate monthly needs into a high-yield savings account paying 4 to 5%. Same liquidity, same access. But now your money is fighting back instead of surrendering. The difference between 0.01 and 4.5% on $10,000 is $450 a year. That's not nothing. That's a car payment. Second move is understand that your real wage is the only wage that matters. When your boss offers you a 3% raise and inflation is running 4%. You didn't get a raise, you got a pay cut with extra steps, they handed you a smaller slice of pie and called it a bigger number. Start negotiating in real terms, not nominal terms. When you ask for a raise, don't say, "I want 5%. Say, "Inflation ran at 4%. So anything less than that is a reduction. 5% is a 1% raise." Frame it correctly, because they're counting on you not understanding the math. Third move is accelerate your income adjustments. If you're employed and only getting reviewed annually, you're guaranteeing 12 months of lag every single cycle. Ask for 6-month reviews. Ask for quarterly check-ins. Ask for cost of living adjustments separate from performance raises. If you're self-employed, raise your prices faster. Most freelancers and small business owners wait until they're desperate to increase rates. By then, they've funded months of inflation out of their own margins. Raise prices at least annually, ideally every 6 months. Before you need to, not after. Fourth move is convert cash to assets whenever possible. Assets don't just sit there losing value. Real estate appreciates, stocks grow, even I-bonds are specifically designed to match inflation. The wealthy don't hold cash because they understand it's a melting ice cube. They hold assets because assets rise with inflation instead of shrinking. This doesn't mean gamble your emergency fund. It means once you have 3 to 6 months of expenses in high-yield savings, everything beyond that should be working, growing, fighting the lag instead of losing to it. Fifth move is front-load necessary purchases during low inflation periods. This sounds counterintuitive, but follow the logic. If you know you'll need a new car in 2 years and inflation is currently low, buying now locks in today's prices. Waiting means buying at tomorrow's inflated prices with a salary that hasn't caught up yet. The lag hurts most when prices spike suddenly. If you can make major purchases during stable periods, you sidestep the worst of the timing trap. This isn't about buying things you don't need. It's about timing things you definitely need. Sixth move is build income streams that adjust automatically. Wages lag because someone else controls when they move. Income you control can move whenever you want. Side income you can reprice monthly. Rental income with annual adjustments. Investment income that rises with the market. Every dollar that comes from sources you control is a dollar that doesn't have to wait for your boss to decide you deserve to keep up with the cost of living. The lag is permanent. It's not going away. It's not a policy that can be changed. It's built into the structure of how wages and prices work in a market economy. But being aware of it means you can position yourself on the winning side of the timing gap instead of the losing side. The person who holds cash, waits for annual raises, and keeps prices stable is funding the inflation. The person who holds assets, negotiates frequently, and raises prices proactively is capturing it. Same economy, opposite outcomes. The only difference is understanding the timing. Here's the part that should make you angry enough to act. Every time inflation spikes and your wage doesn't move, wealth is being transferred out of your labor and into someone else's portfolio. You worked the same hours, produced the same value, but the lag handed a portion of your productivity to people who own things instead of people who do things. This is why asset inequality grows during inflationary periods. This is why the rich get richer when prices rise. This is why you feel like you're running faster and falling behind. You are. The math confirms it. But math works both ways. Once you understand it, you can use it. Tomorrow, check what your savings account is paying. If it's below 4%, you're losing the lag war. Move your money. This week, calculate what inflation actually did to your purchasing power last year. Subtract inflation rate from your raise percentage. That's your real raise. If it's negative, you took a pay cut. This month, identify one income stream you control and raise your prices. Don't wait until you need to. Do it, because the prices of everything you buy already went up. The inflation lag will keep running whether you see it or not. The only question is whether you keep funding it or start fighting it. If this explained something you felt but couldn't name, hit subscribe. Financial Triage exists to expose the mechanisms extracting your wealth and show you exactly how to reverse them. Next video, we're dissecting the subscription bleed, the $2,600 draining from your accounts annually that you've already forgotten about, and the 15-minute audit that stops the hemorrhage.